Word. No, not the next song, but yes, we want to welcome y'all to Forgetting Walls this morning. If it is the morning for when you're listening, thank you for joining us, and I'm Keith.
And I'm Justin.
Well, hello, Justin.
And we have a special guest today. It's one of my good friends, Jack.
Howdy there, my name is Jack, and I'm here to show that this is not actually a Christian podcast. That's my role today.
All right, I love it. That's how we start out the show. Man, Justin, we've kind of seen each other throughout the week, so I know your week was pretty, average.
Yeah.
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 Well, since I haven't seen Jack this week, Jack, how was your week?
Schoolwork. Had some tests, which was always fun.
Ugh.
But I'm here now, so I guess I'm doing good.
Sweet. Well, as you heard, we got a special guest this week, and as you heard from Jack, it's definitely not just a Christian podcast, and it may be determined on how you see that. Now, if it requires all the people to be Christian, we're definitely not a Christian podcast this morning, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Just want to say, Jack, we appreciate you coming on and and actually putting up with the unprofessional, unintelligent Forgetting Walls podcast. Okay, well, maybe the intelligence on Justin's side, but
thank you for that. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, we do got a couple of special announcements we want to make before we get started with anything this week. Number one, Forgetting Walls is on Stitcher. And if you don't know what Stitcher is an alternative platform to podcasting, radio, Stitcher Radio. And we are now officially a part of Stitcher. Justin?
Woo!
We're going to get it out there.
That's how we do. On Stitcher, baby!
Stop talking like a youth pastor.
Woo! Woo! I can't hear you. I said, how y'all feeling this morning?
We're going to get our worship on, people. Don't you understand? It'd be like, we can pull our Bibles out and we look at it and we see how JC did it. Come on, man. We can't talk like you. I was a youth pastor. We can't do that. I was a youth pastor and didn't talk like that. But anyways, we're on Stitcher, and we've updated our website a little bit. You can go to the front page and you can either subscribe to iTunes or hit us up at Stitcher through two links we have on our front page on our website. We would love it if you would just go subscribe and rate. Yeah, we're giving selfish, shameless plugs this morning.
No, don't worry about it. They're the same thing. It's fine.
Selfless plugs. This is nothing about ourselves.
Oh, this is going to be a heck of an hour here. Also, though, we do have our message line up as well that I put up. It is let's just call it a beta test message line setup. So I'm going to give you a little information real quick, and we're going to put it in our title of the podcast, and you can probably go over to the website later this afternoon after I update it to get the information to leave a message. You can call in and leave your message. The greeting will tell you that if you leave a message, you will be giving us the permission to use your voice in YouTube videos, podcast episodes, and wherever else we want to use it, because it's our property. Our property. Once you give it to us. So all you have to do is call the number 641-715-3900. That's 641-715-3900, and you'll be prompted for an extension number, and that number is 254-075. That number again is 254-075, and now we have wasted 5 minutes that we'll never get back, which somebody may never call us. Or nobody will call us. Choose your grammar. Anyways, with that out of the way, the message line is now open and ready for you to give us your story. Because I think that's what we're about, Justin. I think we haven't enforced that enough. I mean, 2 weeks ago, you shared your story at college or some of the things you've gone through at college. Last week, I think I shared way more than I should have shared. I listened to it and I'm like, man, it's like Justin just sat so idle and patient and just listen.
Right.
There you go. Right. And I was like, but you know, when I listened to that episode of me and you were talking, and I see this is where Jack won't understand us at all. You know, I never thought back to those times and looked at them through different glasses, so to speak. You know, being a Christian today, I looked at my life then, and I didn't really understand. And I was like, man, I was telling Kim, I was like, some of those things I had blocked, like completely blocked from my mind. And I'm like, and I look back and I go, oh my gosh. I was like, I didn't even realize that's where my mind was at. So it was kind of interesting. Even though I went like forever, but
Yeah.
That's where you're supposed to talk, Justin. Well, anyway, since me and Justin, I think I talked with you about this Tuesday night, Justin, but I've got to bring it up on the podcast because
Go for it.
people in our society today, especially our American society today, yet they cease to surprise me.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes.
I feel like I've gone past that point.
You know, I thought I had. I was like, there's nothing that can surprise me anymore. I'm like, I've seen it all, right? I've been around the world. I've been into some crazy places. I've been on both sides of the fence. And I'm like, oh, nothing can surprise me. But yet, this week, when Facebook goes down, you can go on Twitter and gripe, right? I mean, if Facebook goes down, hey, Twitter, Facebook's down, oh.
See, I didn't even know Facebook was down earlier.
Well, no, I didn't either. But I'm thinking, well, what happens when Facebook goes down? Where do you go? And I'm thinking, well, jump on Twitter. You can call a friend. Hey, why is Facebook down? Or you can call the cops.
Which is exactly what happened.
So I'm getting this report from money.cnn.com. Go figure that it's on the money side of CNN. This is how important it is to our money. So that's what some Los Angeles County residents apparently did on Friday when the social media network went down for a few hours, according to tweets from a Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department sergeant. A sergeant at the sheriff's office tweeted, #Facebook. Now, I just got to say that he starts out his tweet with a hashtag. #Facebook.
#Facebook.
I mean, we're already taking people's voices. Are we taking their faces now too? I'm kind of worried.
I was thinking about watching Face Off with Travolta and Cage. So Facebook is not a law enforcement issue. Tweet it at LASD Brink, which is AKA Sergeant Burton Brink, on Friday morning. Please don't call us about it being down. We don't know when Facebook will be back up. So basically, people were calling the 911 line, the line that's supposed to be used for emergencies. Like, hey, somebody's breaking in my home. Hey, somebody's trying to kill me. Hey, my cat's up a tree. You know, emergencies. And flooded the 911s, and in not just LA, but in San Francisco, East Bay area too. I mean, there was a lot of places that were being flooded with these calls. And my thought was, what in the world are people thinking? I'm like, you know what they should do is go to their house with like ambulances and fire trucks and cop cars and send everybody out. And when they get there, hand them the bill for that. Because I know if I need to call 911 and somebody's calling for a Facebook issue and somebody dies, you know, it's a little ridiculous to me. Like I said, this one surprised me.
I mean, yeah, it's ridiculous. And I mean, I guess it just shows how I'm trying to get into the mindset of what that would be like.
Don't.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just like trying to. When Facebook went down, the first initial response was, "Oh, this is an emergency," and needed to call the cops and needed to somehow express. I don't know. Was it them expressing their anger, or was it just like, "Hey, can you fix this?"
No, they were. Well, I'll make a. Let's see. Hold on a second. There is another quote he makes on here. He says, "We get calls like this all the time." He said, "People call us about cable TV and all sorts of things not working. Like they think the police control it." So, yeah, it seems like 911 is the emergency go-to to fix all issues that are not emergency related.
Yeah.
I was reading through the article, too, and it says it's not the first time that people have called law enforcement to complain about domestic issues. Last summer, residents of a Connecticut town called 911 when a cable outage interrupted the viewing of a popular TV show, Breaking Bad.
Oh,
See,
that's
I was getting ready to say, I mean, if I'm going to call 911, yeah. Oh, there it goes. By the way, have you heard about the new TV show coming out?
Better Call Saul.
There it is, baby.
Yep.
I like it. Yep. Better Call Saul. I am kind of stoked for that.
Yeah, me too.
Because Saul was like my favorite character.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I mean, apparently he's starting out like just as like a legit lawyer.
Yeah, yeah.
Then like he's on the up and up. His office is nice and clean, and then it's just all about him going downhill.
Yeah.
Seriously going downhill.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of stoked for that because really Saul was the guy. I mean, I liked all the different characters in Breaking Bad, but Saul,
Right.
yeah, Saul was legit.
Criminal lawyer.
Well, maybe legit's not the right word.
He's anything but legit.
That's why people hire him.
But the last comment on this thing is the one that got me the most. Was said the LAPD also estimates that 70% of 911 calls this year have been non-emergency calls, including including a man who called to complain that he hadn't got cheese on his hamburger.
Huh.
Reminds
That
me.
just makes me sad.
Well, I mean, you remember the woman who went to McDonald's?
Yeah.
And they like shorted her a chicken nugget or something, or they didn't have chicken nuggets, and
Yep.
she called the
And
police.
Yep.
That's the world we live in, people. That's the world we live in. We live in a world that, well, I don't know. And I would say, man, where are people getting their education from? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, these people they gotta have some sort of intelligence, right?
Yeah, and I don't think it's as much. I mean, I think that might have a part of it, but I think a lot of it is this sort of sense of entitlement that we have. Because I know working, especially because I've worked in kind of fast food. I mean, it was an ice cream shop
Yeah.
where people feel like will complain about every little thing.
Yes.
And like if they don't have a particular flavor, or if you're like short one night, like some sort of either ice cream flavor or something like that, they just flip out because there's a sense of entitlement that like, okay, I'm here, I should be able to get whatever I want, I should be able to get whatever my heart desires, and if not, then I am entitled to be pissed off at you.
Yes, I understand.
And
And
so
I guess I could-
think that's more of it.
Since we're talking about people and their entitlement issues, we should go ahead and play a little "Beautiful Eulogy" entitlement. I love that song.
Yeah.
But I was over at Sonic the other morning. I was like, oh, we'll grab a couple of breakfast burritos, and I'll run back to the shop and drop one off to my wife, and
Yeah.
and I pull up, and I think you can tell that how entitled people think they are, how much they complain to people, how the staff in the restaurants or places like that are now with how they deal with customers. Because when I pulled up and I was like, oh, I want 2 supersonic breakfast burritos, and then I want this, and she's like, we're out of tater tots this morning. We basically probably didn't get a shipment in, and they're out. So I'm like, okay, no big deal.
Right.
But she goes, and you could tell it in her voice. She was like, oh my gosh, something bad is about to happen. And she's like, but the funny thing is she's like, we could substitute the tater tots in there with French fries. And I'm like, no, it's okay. I can do without. Maybe not having the tater tots is better for my system anyway. So I'll still take the burritos without the tater tots. But you can see it. I mean, where
sort of that fear in a way.
Yeah. I think it's just in life. Well, at least in America, that people are so they have that attitude of entitlement so much that they feel they can do and say whatever they want. You know.
Yeah.
Without any fear. I mean, if it was me in that one, I'm like, we don't have tater tots. Just get over it. I'd probably get
then
fired.
You have the company public image and all that stuff, and you have to take that into account. And because it's a lot of marketing and it's a lot of
look. We're talking about Sonic. I pulled up to Sonic one day, and there was a dude in a truck ordering Sonic with a monkey in his lap.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So I was at Chick-fil-A the other day, and coming through the drive-thru, there's a lady in a van, and there was a monkey driving in the front seat.
Yeah. What is this with the monkeys? I mean,
I don't know.
I mean, you can go to my my Twitter account, and you can find it somewhere. There's a picture of a dude in his truck with a monkey eating Sonic with him.
Where are these people getting monkeys? Is it even legal to have a monkey as a pet?
Dude, I don't know, dude, but that's just the strangest thing to me. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, we're like, oh, it's a monkey, and I'm like, I wonder if I can get a picture of this. I'm trying to do it without being, like,
right.
Oh. But but I got a picture of it and I tweeted. I'm like, I'm at Sonic and there's a monkey, and go figure, Sonic follows me. So you get follows when you post pictures of monkeys at their restaurants.
Nice.
So Sonic, if you're listening because you're following me and now you're following Forgetting Walls, which we know you're not, you should.
If you want to sponsor us,
oh my God, hey Sonic, by all means, hey, and if you're only sponsoring us by giving us like free quarter-pound Coney dogs, hey dude, all day long, just add the jalapenos on top.
We will get so fat off of Sonic.
No.
I'm already feeling really bad because, I can't fit into some of my jeans anymore.
Yeah.
Shut up, dude. Shut up. I mean, you're like the size of a munchkin anyways.
No,
That's only his vertical height.
I mean, compared to you, anyone's a munchkin.
I was sitting there thinking when you was talking about, because I know you were talking about when you were at the ice cream shop, right?
Yeah.
And you was like, and when people come in and you're a little short, I'm like, Justin, you're always a little short. So... Oh, I'm having a good time this morning. Thanks for let's starting this morning out the right way. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and let's get into a little meat and potatoes, because we could go on and on just making random jokes about us. Because let me say this.
All right, go for it.
So we're over at my mother-in-law's the other night, and
yeah,
we're just all sitting over there, and we're all laying, because she has this big area where, because she's Korean, so there's this big area where everybody just kind of sits on the floor, and we're just sitting on the floor, and everybody's talking, and I'm laying on my stomach, and I don't know, somebody had said something, and I kind of pull my arms up, my belly kind of pops out a little bit, and I'm rolling back and forth, and somebody's like, oh, he looks like a walrus, and then my mother-in-law goes, he looks like a potato.
Out of all things you could compare, a potato.
I'm a potato. I'm round like a potato. That made me feel bad, so I said, I gotta go work out. Anyways.
I would take that. Do you look delicious?
I wonder if I'd look delicious if I was baked or mashed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, maybe we're taking it too far. Too far, too soon. So let's do this. Yep. Justin, what I'm going to do is you kind of introduced Jack in the beginning, but I'm going to kind of let you introduce him again. Give him an introduction that's worthy of his status.
If it's worthy of my status, it's going to be 2 words.
This.
I'm not going to be nice.
No, it'd be this Jack.
Go.
All right, so
this is my friend Jack. I've known him for how many years have I known you, Jack?
I think we did meet freshman year.
Yeah, so it's freshman year, so it's been almost 3 years now.
Yeah.
And I met you through what was then Roger Christie, but so it's the Apologetics Club at my school that I was a part of. And Jack, Did you go ever to the meetings or?
Yeah, I think not to the Ratio Christi, but I did come a couple times, like Jonathan and them, I believe.
Yeah.
All right. Hold on a second. You got to back up and explain whatever this, because all I'm hearing is Ratio Christi.
We could get into that for a while, and
But just give me a brief explanation of what you're talking about, so I don't feel like an idiot on this side.
Okay, so Ratio Christi is it started at ASU, actually, and it's now grown to a national organization. And it's like apologetics and stuff like that, kind of equipping students and all that stuff. However, there's a falling out with the leadership and other stuff like that, so we separated ourselves from that national organization. We dissolved the head flagship chapter, which actually they don't like to talk about, so hey!
Well, we just talked about it, so it's over now.
Yep, no worries. And so we formed our own group because we disagreed with a lot of the stuff that was going on in a way they were approaching apologetics. And we were in contact with the guy who created it, and he basically told us to dissolve it because it had become something that he didn't want it to be, that it was never meant to be. Okay. And so then we formed our own group and had a lot of other people come in and had a lot more interaction with the atheists and agnostics and people of different faith because we wanted to be all-inclusive and have people in. And so that's where Jack started to come to meetings and really started to talk to him. I think last year we didn't debate, but we had like this sort of like it was me and him standing in front of a group, and we were basically giving our experiences and stuff like that, and people would ask us questions, and we kind of went back and forth. So we've been a little bit toe-to-toe with each other, but yeah. So this is...
Who would win in a nunchuck fight?
Jack.
I got the reach on him. That's why.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So after I've interrupted you, go ahead.
No, I mean that's pretty much introduction.
Well, let me ask you a question, Jack, because I'm hearing Justin talking about these apologetic clubs and kind of meeting through that. Well, we just throw it out there. You when you send us your little bio tag, and so we can so I can kind of get to know who you are. Your the last label that the label that you gave me, and that was kind of like atheist agnostic.
Yeah, right. It's something you don't hear that often, but I heard it. I heard the term thrown around once or twice. Must have been 4 or 5 years back, and I really liked it. Basically, what it means is that I kind of operate in my day-to-day life under the assumption that there is no God, but I'm also open-minded to the possibility if it was to be proven to me, or if I saw some sort of sufficient evidence for it. Okay. And so that's kind of where my position is. It's like, I'm not going to just flat out say, there is no God, there never will be no God. I'm at least going to be open-minded to the possibility that there is.
Well, that's cool. I kind of commend you for having that stance, because I think people, I would say both extremes on the side of the fence would come at you with a very, I guess, a negative attitude and probably question, probably just question you point blank. But my question right now is what, I mean, I don't know if it's maybe your search, because, you said your cell
cell molecular biology.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Which I studied under a guy who did that as a Christian. It blows my mind, the level of science that, and how, we'll get into that in a minute, but it's crazy. I know at some point you have to have some sort of intelligence to be in that field. So,
I don't know about that. I would dispute that very much. I'm not a bright man. I am not people tell me I'm clever, but I'm really not that bright.
I was going to say, man, are you sure you're not a Christian yet? Because you sound very humble over there.
No, that's the Aristotle in me coming out.
Okay, the philosophy part. Well, let me go ahead and start everything, Jack, by saying, by asking you this question. Let me just go ahead and get this out the way, because, disclaimer, this is for all our Christians, brothers and sisters in the world who may be listening to this podcast, who question our faith to the Lord Jesus Christ, who we love and we endear forever and ever. Jack, would you accept Jesus Christ as your Savior right now?
Probably not.
Okay.
I'm not really sold.
Would you be willing to do so at the end of this podcast?
We'll see. I can't predict the future, so, I mean...
We'll get ready.
Oh, God, what did I sign up for? Oh, God.
This is the intervention, Jack.
Oh, no.
This is the Atheist Agnostic Intervention. You are now in our
Every
world.
Time.
We are going to get blasted for this. I'm going to just let you know now, Justin. Oh, well. Well, it's out of the way. I did ask. No, but I think more importantly, though, the reason I asked the question, I was going to ask, how did you, like I was saying, not that you may not think, but I can already tell that you have some sort of intelligence, because you think the field that you're taking in college, I just don't think anybody's just going to walk into it. So was your venturing out into like these apologetic clubs and meeting with these people a sort of your search for more answers, or was it just a place that you can hopefully voice how you felt to people who didn't believe the way you did?
Really, it's more of just kind of an extension of my curiosity about religion. I mean, like it or not, support it or not, it's one of the most important things in life to understand and to talk about. I mean, even if you are secular, the impact that religion has in society and literature is just so massive that I just became interested in it when I was in high school and just kept with it. So I figured the best place to learn more about it would be an apologetics club. And I also got dragged along by the president of the Atheist Club at that time. And so it was kind of funny because the Atheist Club kind of just as a unit also went to the Defense for Faith Club that they made after Ratio Christi, and we composed about half of the members, and it was really funny.
Yeah,
because we'd sit on opposite sides for some reason.
You guys all seem to congregate together, and we're like, mix in, guys, we're all friends, and you just like would stay in your little corner.
We can't
I
have.
sat next to Evan, to be fair, but also he's pretty much an atheist.
But yeah, that's Evan.
So we have. There was no desegregation between the atheist and non-atheist, so to speak.
There was a little bit, but it was we just kind of came in as a group of friends, so that's kind of why we sat together. It wasn't anything like us versus them mentality.
Yeah. Well, for me, I think what happened there says a lot to how I think culture, especially in America, needs to start seeing. I mean, it's like what we want to do here. We want to try to get rid of that wall that's dividing people.
Sure.
Because there's no reason that we can't all sit down together. There's no reason we can't have meals together. I mean, when I read the Bible, I see a lot about, stay away from the immoral people, but I'm thinking, dude, if I'm staying away from the immoral people, I'm probably going to stay away from a lot of people in the church too. It's and I don't see it as a morality issue. I just see it as where people believe. It's their belief issues. It's you believe one way, I believe the other way. It doesn't separate us from being a human being and loving each other.
Right.
I really hope it's okay for Christians and non-Christians to mingle, because I just got lunch with Justin yesterday, and if it's not okay, then I'm about to get the police sicked on me.
No, I'm going to hell.
You're a Calvin. You're fine.
I'm secure.
I am from the Reformed theology. Listen, let's just lay this out on the line. What people think about people and morality and theologies and doctrines and all those things, I think we're going to see. I mean, there's already a shift going on in today's society that people are pushing mainly. And I'm going to say this. I think the big push is more for Christians, or the religion of Christianity, I should say, not Christians in general, but the religion of Christianity. That there's a big push to show that, well, basically a lot of the things we've held true to have been traditional and wrong. They haven't been commandments of God. So right. I think that's going to be, and Jack, forgive me, I think that's going to be what's going to be the point of conversion for a lot of people who aren't Christians, is going to see that the real nature of who Jesus is, the real nature of his love. And they'll be able to come through that, but they can't understand that. Now, a lot of people can't understand that because all we've ever had is this standoff, this hate, this I can't do with you because, you're this way. But once we start getting rid of those lines, I think there's going to be a bigger point. And I say conversion, but where people will see that God really exists outside of having to have evidential evidence or circumstantial evidence to see that God's real. Oh. I got to stop talking.
I think I'd actually probably agree with you on that point. I mean, a lot of the issue, at least with our current generation, is you see some of these social issues, and you see some of the among the Christian extremists, of course, you see some of the bigotry towards, homosexuality or transgender and stuff like that. And then once that stuff starts to crumble, I think you are going to see a lot of maybe not like a ton, but you
Oh, no.
will see some at least conversion to Christianity, I think.
Oh yeah, and speaking on that subject, I think the big problem is that people in general, especially Christians, have taken upon themselves to do all the changing of other people. When even if you're a Christian and your faith in His Word says, you're not going to do the work. You're not the grower. We are. God is. God is the person who makes everything change. And if that's what you believe, then that's how you should believe it, and just treat people with love and respect.
Yeah.
I got a couple of questions for you. I want to start off because
Shoot.
my first question is how was it to live in a household with your father being Jewish and your mother being Catholic backgrounds?
So basically, I didn't. So basically, what happened was my dad comes from a very Jewish family, mother from a Catholic family. But when they got married, my mother converted to Judaism. She didn't really care.
So so basically, there was no Catholic tradition in the household. There was nothing that kind of held to that.
I mean, we celebrate Christmas, but my grandfather isn't. And we went over to my grandfather's house, and he wasn't particularly religious either. So it was just kind of like a gift-giving holiday as opposed to any sort of Christian holiday.
Yeah, I can understand that too.
Yeah.
I really can get in line with that.
And then, so my dad was Jewish, my mother converted, and so I just grew up going to temple maybe once a year.
Okay.
Never really thought about it. It's just something kind of a chore to go to.
Right.
My parents never really sat me down, tried to explain like what we believe, how this matters, or if they did, I just didn't care because I was, 4th grade or something. And then about 7th or 8th grade, my dad sat me down one day and he's like, "Jack, I don't think there's a God."
Wow.
And I was just like, okay. I had grown up without like any sort of notion of God in my life, so that wasn't like any sort of big revelatory thing. It was kind of weird to me that I was making a big deal out of it, but I just kind of was like, okay. And from then on, I just didn't believe in a God.
Well, I can see that. I mean, I can see that from your perspective, but I'm thinking from his perspective, if anybody holds to like God, and we're going to go like, forgive me for all the Christians who want to throw stones when I say, Jehovah, Yahweh, because I'm not supposed to say those, right? Because it's, whoa, hold on now. But that to me, just like, for me, knowing not many, but a few Jewish people, a few people who hold to Judaism or had held to Judaism, that's a big, big, big deal.
Well, see, the Jewish community is kind of odd in that respect. There's a lot of there are a lot of Jewish people who take it very seriously, where they are very much honoring that contract and
Orthodox and Hasidic.
But there's a huge portion of the Jewish community that either don't really care, they don't practice kosher, they don't really think about it in their day-to-day lives.
Reformed.
Yeah. And thank you, Justin. Thank you, religious major Justin. And then even more than that, there's also a huge group of Jewish people who don't even believe in a God, and it's just like ethnic tradition for them.
Well, yeah, and I can see I don't know, I guess maybe, I can see where there's like a large community of Jewish people who don't believe in God, because there's a large group of people who just don't believe in God in general.
Yeah.
I just thought it was weird that, when I saw that you did go to temple, even though it was kind of irregular.
Yeah.
But to just come up and go, okay, there is no God. Well, at that point, did all your temple visits and everything else stop, or did you still kind of go because it was just the tradition of the family?
No, we stopped. My dad's one of those people who doesn't. He was never even really particularly that religious. That's why we only went once a year, and that was kind of just out of tradition.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really like any sort of big change in our dynamic or anything. It was just kind of like, okay, you don't have to think about it. And it was just kind of a weird thing looking back and looking from what I know about our culture now. It makes me realize that my parents are just kind of weird. That's more or less it. I'm lucky I have them. I love them to death. They're just kind of weird.
Hey, well, to an extent, I think not all parents, but most parents have this weird vibe to their kids anyways, except for Justin's parents. Justin's parents aren't weird.
Oh, they're great.
Justin's parents are great.
There's nothing wrong with them at all.
No. He's got the sweetest mom in the world. She just absolutely sweet. And his dad is just his dad. He's dad.
So I take it they're listening to the podcast?
I know his mom is.
In that case, Justin's mom is really awesome. just want to say that out loud.
But she knows that's the God's honest truth, though.
Thank you, guys. That means so much to me. I love you, Mom.
But you know the funny,
I do.
Yeah. We love you, Mom. And the funny thing to me is because I have one son that's older than Justin, and one son that's the same age as Justin, which would be basically the same age as you, Jack. So when I'm doing this podcast, I'm like, we're talking about his parents, and I'm talking about his parents like they're my parents, but that's kind of weird. Oh, so anyways, parents are weird. Mine, we won't even, my parents, I love them. They, but they're two different birds, man. Speaking of that, if you are listening, I love you. I love you, Mom. I know my dad's not listening because podcasts. If I told my dad I'm doing a podcast, he'd go, "Oh, what cast? What's that?"
Yeah, that whole concept.
Yeah, my dad's level of technology is opening his flip phone and trying to figure out, okay, I dialed this. Oh, they actually have contacts saved into the phone.
I don't have to go through my Rolodex anymore.
No, my dad didn't have a Rolodex. He called my dad, and I'm okay. Let's just a little side note about my dad. Every year at Christmas and my birthday, he always sends a check to the house because he likes, he sends me a little present. Mm-hmm. Every year, religiously, and I like using that word, religiously. 2 days before Christmas and 2 days before my birthday, he calls me for my address. Even if I've lived... I ain't gonna lie to you. He goes, "I can't find where I put your address." I was like, "It's okay, Dad. Here's my address." And every year, I give him and I have to spell it out because my dad came through a time when people got pushed through school.
Right.
And so he, not the greatest speller, but great basketball player and can weld like nobody's business. He's an awesome dude. But anyways, back to you, Jack.
I have an aunt who will send me a birthday card exactly 30 days before my birthday every year on the dot.
I love it.
I'm not sure why. She knows when my birthday is because she writes it in the card, but it's just like a little thank you. She does it to my sister. She does it to my parents. It's just the weirdest thing.
Hey, that's just good planning, man. I'm just going to bank it to good planning. So I was reading when I was reading your little spiel when you kind of started growing. I'm not going to say in your faith, but when you started growing with your interest in things, and you were talking about you watch a lot of atheist videos and religious videos. Yeah, you talked about watching a lot of creationist videos.
Yeah, creationists are kind of a hobby of mine. So that's an odd way of putting it, but
it is.
So basically, seventh or eighth grade, my dad sat me down and said, "There's no God." About ninth grade, I started to run into religious folk because in middle school, no middle schooler cares about religion. I never had a middle schooler kind of try to talk to me about Jesus, but like in freshman year of high school, that's when people started, I think joining their youth groups and getting really involved in their churches and such, and started branching out. So I started encountering more. I was like, whoa, people are religious. I just assumed nobody was religious. And so that kind of is what kicked me off, is just kind of having this realization. And I'm ashamed to say this, but for the first 2 years of high school, I was a classical militant atheist.
Why be ashamed?
And
don't be ashamed.
Well, no, it's not a good thing to be, but it's so what I did was I'd start watching. I got involved in the whole YouTube community. That was just when YouTube was starting to blow up with the YouTube atheism and YouTube Christian stuff. Mm-hmm. And so I'd watch. God, this is the shameful part. I was watching The Amazing Atheist and Cody Weber and Coughlin and just these older YouTube names.
Yeah.
But more so than even them, I would watch a lot of the Christian videos, and especially a lot of the creationist videos. I've seen all of Kent Hovind's lectures that are posted online. Every single one. I've seen... who's the other big creationist other than Kent Hovind? I'm just blanking on the name.
Ken Ham.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of Ken Ham's videos.
Yeah, I can't do that.
And then just, a lot of people on just random YouTubers who put creationist videos, and I just watch all of them.
Yeah.
Religiously, I'd watch all of them.
There we go.
And just having my blood boil and just making myself angry. And so...
Let me ask you a question. Watching the creation of videos, did they hinder or help more when it came towards Christianity?
I think definitely hinder. It gave me kind of a negative perspective on what kind of the average Christian was like. And it was just one of those things where I did it to make myself angry at Christianity, and it was a stupid thing to do. Kind of glad I have the wealth of knowledge about it now. That's kind of interesting to throw out there. Just start throwing out, well, Kent Hovind said this. And that's an odd thing to bring out of parties, but but it's just one of those things. And I think a lot of the militant atheists did kind of a similar thing. They just kind of looked for people to pick fights with. And and I went through that phase until about junior year of high school. Yeah, not great.
Wow.
I forgot if I answered the question that you initially asked.
No. You did.
Good.
Yeah. I think you did just fine with that. Because most of the time, me and Justin never answer the questions.
No, we never answer the freaking question.
We start out with I think legitimately we thought about changing the name from Forgetting Walls to Forgetting Questions. Because
I mean, 2 podcasts ago.
Yeah, exactly. Here's the question. And we start talking, and where are we at with this now? Well, look, I know you kind of maybe labeled it just a little bit in here, but what was the circumstance, or what was the thing that caused you to switch from this very militant base to this? And I'm going to go to where you're at right now. Was it one thing? Was it a group of things? Was it people in general? What was it that kind of opened your mind up a little bit?
Well, it was the startling realization that people don't want to be friends with, and pardon my French here, people don't want to be friends with an asshole.
Wow, I didn't know that was a French word. I took French.
Oh no, it's very, very strong French.
Oh, okay.
But that kind of just realization that people hate me for this. Yeah. I need to stop being such a
jerk.
Yes, a jerk. That's the word I'm going to use.
Atheist jerk.
Yeah.
But I think that goes both ways. It goes both ways, because I saw that also with the Christian community too, and like you said, militant atheist. I think there's the concept that you could use as militant Christian.
Oh yeah, they kind of feed off of each other too, because like the militant atheists think that these Christians are trying to like proselytize, trying to change their viewpoint, change their mind, and then the militant Christians are like, well, I'm being attacked by these atheists, so I need to be able to defend myself and reach out to them.
Yep, I can vouch for that.
Well, I think it's only, and I say it's only natural that I think the people who are Christians and who are atheists, they go through those phases in their life, because I think I think that's the part where they're trying to affirm what they believe, and the only way to do it is to be very offensive, so they don't have to be on the defensive.
Sure. And that's why I kind of there's kind of this general consensus on the website Reddit. I don't know if I'm getting too just kind of internety, but like on the website Reddit, there's kind of this consensus that the subreddit atheism is just kind of which is essentially, if you don't know, is just a forum where people post like memes and pictures and comments about atheism. And so there's just kind of this underlying feeling. Yeah, there's just kind of this underlying feeling that they're just like militant and crazy. But I kind of support those things because they're off in their own corner.
Yeah.
And they're not like offending anybody. They're among like-minded people, and eventually they're going to grow out of it. But at least they're not like, they're not being jerks about it to other people, and they have like an outlet for it. And I feel like that's a good thing. I think like the internet's really helping make less militant atheists in like high school or social settings, and more on the internet.
Well, and when you were talking about nobody really talked to me in middle school, or there was no religious people in middle school. Obviously, you didn't live in Brunswick County.
Obviously not.
No, I lived in the containment area for relocated Yankees. Cary, North Carolina.
Wow. Yeah, you lived in a secluded area. No.
I pretty much lived in Massachusetts, but I had also access to hush puppies. So
you gotta love that. Yeah, it's good. That's a good trade off. No, because I was thinking like being a. Do I say former youth pastor? Being a former youth pastor.
Yeah, you're former.
I'm a former youth pastor. I like saying that. That kind of rings a bell. I'm a former youth pastor. No.
Yeah, how many years has it been?
Wow, it's been like 4. It's crazy.
About 4 years.
Yeah, it's been about 4 years. But anyways, being a former youth pastor and having tons of middle school students, legitimately tons of middle school students. If you put them all together, they would weigh a ton. But but we have for some reason I noticed that militant mind phase for Christianity starts there for some reason.
Yeah, no, it's because, I mean, when you're a kid, you really like to soak up whatever your peers and whatever your parents are kind of putting on you. And when you do that, you think your parents are right, you think your peers are right, and you think that everybody else is wrong. So,
and then you
kind of have this mentality that you have to prove it for some reason.
Yeah, and I think it comes to a place where it's not yours anyways. That's why they're so strong behind it. And then and this is what I've seen, because, hey, I'll be real with you. Most kids who are so high strung on Christianity as a middle school student that never grasp it for themselves will eventually not be a Christian, so to speak, after high school, because they can't reconcile that faith with themselves because they've never done it. They haven't done it to that point. So it's interesting for me to see that. And that's not a dig on Christianity, because, hey, at the end of the day, I know what I believe, but I know what I believe. Most kids never know what they believe, so they go through that. That's why I was asking about the militant phase that you had, because I just see that most young people go through that phase, no matter which side of the fence they're on.
Absolutely. I mean, and I think it's just the militantism in general is such an important topic, especially for a podcast with a goal such as yours, because I mean, that's really where the divide and the kind of Grand Canyon starts.
Yes. And
so if you can tackle it there, and if you can try to figure out, how to just deal with it there, that'd really help the cause and help, break down those barriers and actually create a full dialogue instead of a screaming, painful, embarrassing when you look back on it dialogue.
Yeah. Nothing ever gets done with an argument.
Yeah. Because I actually went through that too. It was just actually later. Because in middle school and for first year of high school, I was just nothing, and I didn't really care. And then after I became a Christian, first year or so, I was very adamant, very apologetics, all that stuff, kind of a little bit militant about it.
Yeah.
And then if you've listened to 2 podcasts ago, you probably have a good idea. But
well, it didn't help that I was his youth pastor at that time either.
That's very true.
Were you encouraging him on?
Well, it wasn't that I was encouraging, but I was always, not that I was trying to battle atheist or other. And my biggest battle was Mormons. I'm sorry, let's just throw it out there.
Oh man, I love the Mormons.
Yeah, I love them. I love them too. But they're
the face of the earth.
Yeah, I absolutely had so much fun debating with them. But I was trying. I guess my goal at that point was I was trying to get each individual to believe his own or her own belief system, to believe it for themselves. And the only way I could actually do that was to teach them how to defend what they believed at that point. And we had, I'm probably one of the only youth pastors in the world that actually turned a kid atheist and then brought him to Christianity.
Miles, if we bring him on later.
Because what it was I was trying to get rid of the traditional mindsets that kids had and get them to get away from their parents' beliefs and things like that and believe what they believed. And either you believe in Christianity or you don't. There's kids that have come through, there's guys and girls that have come through the youth group that I was in and absolutely leave Christianity altogether and have no desire ever to come back to God. And people go, well, why do they do that? I was like, well, because they came to believe what they wanted to believe. And I can't force them to believe anything else. And I guess people didn't like that.
Their blood's on your hands, Keith. Sorry.
Well, according to Ezekiel, the blood is not on my hands because I did give them the truth of the word.
Exactly.
There you go, baby. I've got an answer for everything. Not really. But anyways, back to Jack.
I don't know. I'm having pretty much fun with this topic.
Oh, my goodness. I'm sitting here going, well, let's take a break from all the seriousness for a second if anything's been serious yet. Sure. So, you want to play a game?
I'll play a game.
All right, so you said you're a movie buff.
I'm a little bit of a movie buff.
And there's only one set of movies that really matter in life.
The Lord of the Rings movies.
Oh, you are banned from the podcast. So Jack, what we're going to do is I'm going to give you a 23-question quiz of the greatest set of movies of all time.
Oh, God.
And since you said you're a Star Wars fan, I am going to unleash the Star Wars trivia questions.
Am I allowed to participate?
Only if he gets them wrong.
Okay.
That's a guarantee.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, at any moment you can call Uncle, and we'll quit.
I like questions. I like quizzes.
All right.
I promise I'll do well.
So, we can go anywhere we want to. Okay, so basically, there's 23 questions. All right, and they can follow all the movies.
Okay.
So from any one of the
Even the terrible ones?
Well,
Are we gonna wait? Hold on. Are you gonna reference the Ewok Christmas special? Because if so, I got you. I can answer those questions.
All right, no, that's not considered a movie. We're just going to go with episodes, the real episodes 4 through 6, and the episode that should never have been made 1, and the other 2 episodes 2 and 3, which have some validity into the storytelling of everything that we're going to watch. So, anyways, question number 1. Question number 1. You will never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy. Where was Obi-Wan Kenobi referring to in Star Wars for A New Hope?
He was referring to the.
Do you want me to give you the multiple choice answers?
I know it.
I'll give you the multiple choice answers. Okay.
Oh, there's multiple choice. I got this. Then, if it's multiple choice, I'm a happy camper.
Okay. So we got a little bragging going on. All right, Atheist. Where was it at? Was it Mos Eisley, Bespin, or Coruscant?
I believe that would be Mos Eisley.
Yes, Mos Eisley is correct. That was an easy one.
I forgot. I blanked on the name. I was gonna say the bar that they go to.
Well, there you go. I may have given you that one, but this was a little bit harder.
He said it outside of the town. They didn't go in the bar. He was overlooking the city, just to be specific.
But that wasn't the question. The question was, what was he referring to as a wretched hive of scum and villainy? And that was the bar.
No, the whole town. Mos Eisley.
The whole town. Mos Eisley. It was
showing my weakness here.
Yes. We're determining how strong the force is with you.
Not very. No.
Okay, so question number 2. Now this is a good one. How is George Lucas said to have given R2-D2 his name?
Ooh.
Okay. Was it from his postcode? Was it part of the number plate from his grandpa's car? Or from a film editing abbreviation, Reel 2, Dialogue 2?
I want to say it's the third option, but I'm also not that confident. But I think I'm going to go with option 3.
Very good. That was an easy one.
Yeah.
Very nice.
This isn't really a hard trivia question. Well, it would be if I didn't give you the multiple choice answers.
It would be. In that case, yeah, I'd be 0 and 2. But,
what exactly made the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs?
Millennium Falcon.
Oh, very good.
That was easy.
I didn't need multiple choice for that one. Han Solo and the Millennium Falcon. Also, did you know that parsecs is not a unit of time? It's a unit of space.
Yep.
Very good. Very good.
Was that question 4?
No. Question 4. From which planet is Han Solo?
Ooh. Oh, I don't actually know this one. I really should.
It'll probably give it away when I give you the answers, but is it Endor, Tatooine, or Corellia?
My gut's telling me Tatooine, but I don't think that's right.
Justin, would you like to chime in there?
I'm going to say Corellia.
Well, let's see what good old Jack's answer is. Wrong. It is Corellia.
Yeah.
You're right.
Woo!
That's when you're taking the SAT or any multiple choice, you have to go, all right, let's get rid of the answers that I know are wrong. Tatooine should have been the first.
Oh, no, it should have. It sounded familiar, and that made me want to pick it. I guess. I told you, I'm not a smart man. I don't know. Now I'm just proving it to you.
All right, now this is going to be a good one.
Okay.
What is the name of Luke's friend from Tatooine who was killed during the attack on the Death Star?
Yep.
Is it? Are you ready?
Justin, could you just take the quiz instead?
No, this is yours.
Oh, God.
Answer the question, Atheist.
Is it? You're on trial.
Oh, no. Wait, did we get God's Not Dead in here? Oh, no. I've seen that movie twice.
That impresses me because I watched it once and I don't know if I'll watch it again.
So the first time I watched that movie, I went with the Atheist Club and then also the president of Defense for Faith. And my attitude going in was, I'm going to laugh at the people sitting next to me because they're going to be so much more miserable than I was. And I was right. They were so mad and I was so happy.
What a break from the trivia questions. What drives?
Thanks, by the way.
Ah!
What is it? What did you say? What did you say? Did you say Biggs? Did you say Biggs?
He did.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, because his other friend is Wedge Antilles, but he survived because he flew off.
Yeah.
Because you're not doing any good back there, Wedge.
Actually, they had a spin-off in books for Wedge.
Yep.
See, I know my Star Wars.
I feel inadequate now.
And also Star Wars Rogue Squadron 2, you play as him throughout most of the game. So.
Exactly.
Can we have trivia questions about Lord of the Rings? I can answer questions about Palantirs. I got that.
They don't matter. Star Wars is life.
Yeah.
I'm excited for movie 7.
Yeah.
Just
Well, we won't talk about that right now.
What? Hey, on the plus side, Abrams is ignoring all of Lucas's ideas. That's a plus.
Well, I guess to an extent it is. I just want to see how it's kind of like, it would be kind of like God allowing somebody to add to the canon of the Bible, but not recognize the canon of the Bible.
Have you read the Infancy Gospel of Thomas?
Oh,
it's pretty great.
No, I just that
crazy.
Just it's
Oh man, that's correct me if I'm wrong, but Justin, but that's the one where there's just like apparently Jesus just kills so many children that like when a children dies of natural causes, the town just kind of blames him automatically.
Yeah, it's
hilarious.
It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life. Anyways,
Go Gnostics.
Is that Liberty's mascot, the Gnostics?
Now look here. We are the Flames.
Oh, you and your flamers.
Just saying, that might be that might have some slight irony in today's day and age.
Yeah, it kind of does. Anyways, well, for our friend Jack, you suck at Star Wars.
I do. No, that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
I enjoy the series, but I'm not that good at it.
Well, it benefits that I was able to see the first movie in the theater and fall in love with it from there. So,
yeah. I technically saw episode 1 in the theater. Does that count as the first? No,
okay. It don't count.
I am so sorry.
Believe me, I was not that happy. And then
I had
two twice because of a friend's birthday party. No, I'm sorry. I had to see it 3 times because of 2 friends' birthday parties. That was miserable.
There we go. I had to say I had high hopes for this podcast. We might need to get rid of this silliness for a second. Let's go back to something serious here.
All right.
Okay.
So, with what we've talked about, and this is the question that I have for every single person who, not that they just don't believe in God, but they have the stance like, an atheist or maybe an agnostic stance, but we got the atheist agnostic in the house.
Yeah.
Now, and you kind of mentioned, you kind of answered the question I'm going to ask a little bit. But, you talk about you are open to the possibility of believing. Excuse me. I had oatmeal this morning. I don't understand why I'm all... But you made the comment that, you would be open to the possibility of believing in God if the evidence supported it, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So when we talk about evidence, okay, what is the evidence that you're looking for? Are you looking for the tangible physical evidence? Are you looking for something more that is supernatural? Or is it something that somebody can just prove to you in, let's just say, a debate of sorts to bring you there?
So I think the legitimate answer would be all of the above. Any of the above. I mean, if something supernatural was to happen to me and I couldn't explain it, then
right,
absolutely. I mean, I kind of have to by necessity. And then if somebody did provide I can't talk today either. An actual structured logical argument that makes sense.
Right.
Kind of like what apologists have been trying to do.
Yeah.
For centuries. Then absolutely, I mean, I'm on a dime, or at least I hope I would.
Right.
But just hasn't happened yet.
Yeah,
I've read through the Bible a couple times, and
yeah. Well, it's, and I could make comments to things, but it really won't matter. But because the reason I ask is, I think a lot of Christians, they like to debate the other side, but I think they're debating the other side, and I don't think, and this is why I think it doesn't work. They're debating in the effort to defend their faith, but the debate is not geared to, I don't want to say change the mind, but yes, change the mind of the person they're debating.
Yeah,
I think all debates are geared to put somebody on the defense. You know,
sure.
So for me, this is just me. That's why no one could debate me out of my faith, because you're putting me in a position where I must defend my faith, so it roots me deeper into what I believe.
Sure. No, absolutely.
So when I say those things, I'm like, all right, so how do I interact with a person who doesn't believe the way I do, but I don't want to coax them into what I believe, but I want them to open their mind to see that, you know, maybe what I believe and how I feel is real. What God is real, Christ is real. All those things are real in my life. So what is the approach that, you know, in my mind I'm trying to develop? What is the approach I need to make at someone? Let's say, I would say I'd have a better chance with you than I would just a hardcore I'm loving Dawkins atheist.
Yeah.
You know, so is the approach more important than the message sometimes?
So, not sure if you're going to like this answer, but I don't think you can really do that. I don't think there's a good way to approach somebody who's secular and who's, you know, given some thought to it and, you know, get them to open their mind about something. If they're going to open their mind up to something, they're probably going to come to you.
Well, no, and
so it's I don't know. It's tough. I mean, it'd be kind of, I guess the mentality would be thinking like, if I was trying to talk you out of your faith, how would I go about doing that? And there's not really a good way to do it because, you know, as you said, there's not really a position I can come from where, you know, you won't necessarily be able to dig yourself into your faith or even want to change your mind. So I'm tempted to say it's one of those things where it's just really, you can't really do it. No,
and I'm gonna call you wrong because you can't tell me I won't like the answer, because actually the answer is I want to hear the answer, because that's the only way. I mean, honestly, that's the only way that this works. I mean, you know Justin, and you really don't know me, but
this is the last podcast, so I kind of do.
Well, yeah, you did get a lot, but you know that, you know, where we sit with our belief in Christ, and we are committed to the call that He's given us, that we absolutely believe that He's given us.
Sure.
For us to fulfill that, for us to really go after that, it's not about, you know, getting the answers we want. It's not about trying to figure out the best, you know, what's the best strategy. It's about what really is going to work in this life. And like you said, trying to approach somebody, it's not going to work, because if they're looking, they're going to approach us.
Yeah.
And that's what I want people to hear. You know, we are called to go out and to give the message. You know, we are supposed to proselytize and things of that nature. And I don't believe we should stop doing that, because if somebody hasn't heard or really doesn't know, it's good to hear it. But like for someone in your situation, you've already dug your trench. You've already dug your foxhole, and you're sitting in it. And if somebody comes to attack you, you're going to defend that position. I mean,
see, I'm in a weird position because I'm a huge believer in open-mindedness, and to be truly open-minded, you have to actually entertain the arguments and the opinions of people on the other side of the fence and on all sides of the fence.
Right.
So I feel like if somebody tried to convert me, I don't know if I'd be digging my trench, but I think it'd be tough for them to come at me from an intellectual position that'll really sway me.
Yeah.
And I say that with a little bit of experience on the topic. I mean, I've in high school I was president of my debate team. I was in debate for 4 years, and even during that time and even after that time, I've read a ton of stuff on religion. I've talked with a ton of people about it, and it's if I wanted to find faith or have that leap to faith, as Kierkegaard says, then I think I'd do that. But I honestly don't believe that I don't think there's a good way to approach me from an intellectual argumentative standpoint. And I don't mean argumentative from like bickering. I mean argumentative as making arguments. That's really gonna sway me unless I'm looking for it.
Well, and that's my point. I think that's my biggest point here is that if somebody comes with the position to attack your intellect of what you believe, you're going to hunker down. I just believe that's human nature. I mean, you're making a very good point to say, you're not really going to change who I am, just kind of attacking me with an intellectual thought. And that's and again, that's the position here for us is I really want to stop trying to bring this, an intellectual debate. Two people are going to debate, and I think at the end of that debate, there's not going to be a change on one side or the other. It's like I've already said. I just think you're going to defend the position that you're standing in.
Yeah, sure.
So when I'm talking about approach, when I'm talking about the approach, not that I'm going to approach you with the, with the intent of debating you to the point out of your faith, but how can I approach those people that don't believe like me, even though my intent eventually is I really want them to know Christ because that's what I know and I feel that this is it. But I don't really want to come at you with this debate, this argument. Yeah. I want you to see, and albeit that what the Bible says is show them who I am through how you love. They'll know me through you by your love. I mean, they'll know me. I mean, of course, there's, like I said, there's a concept of spreading the gospel. And, Paul says, how can anyone know who I am or know Christ, if somebody doesn't go preach or hear, if they don't hear, there's that concept of preaching and telling, but you already know. I mean, you know what it is. So what's the point of me? And I think this is the part where I'm talking to Christians that may be listening. What's the point? And I'll ask this to you directly. What is the best approach, the best strategy of approach, or how people should treat others with the intent, if they have the intent to see you know Christ in the end?
So the only thing you really can do is do what you said, share your love, be friends with somebody, talk with somebody, and then if they decide to become, if they become open-minded to that point and decide they have an interest in it or want to explore that idea, then they'll come to you, and you'll be there for them. But ultimately that, I don't know if that's a good way. I don't know if having that mentality in the first place is a good way to deal with that, because when you're trying to make friends, share your love with the intent of trying to show them to Christ, you're not going to be successful at the first step. Yeah. So, I mean, I think the best method would just be to abandon all those preconceived notions, treat everybody like they're humans, make friends with people, and then just be an open ear for them, and also, an open word for them if they come to you.
I really appreciate you solidifying our stance here at Forgetting Walls.
No, I figured. I mean, this is what you guys have said before. Yeah. And it's true. I mean, that's why I wanted to come here, is because, it's a good message, and I wholeheartedly approve.
Well, and I think at the end of the day, I think we, the criticism that me and Justin may get is that, number one, we may be associating with those who aren't Christians. Oh my gosh, and you know what? And, people will probably question our faith or our allegiance to God, which I don't know how people can do that, because
we weren't hard enough on him.
Yeah.
You're not trying to convince me. Oh man,
I will convince you. I love Jesus. Jack, you should just love Jesus too.
Now, I never thought like that. Oh man, this is just changing my entire worldview. I just never saw it like that.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem. Is okay, so and this may sound very hokey to you, and I think me and Justin have talked off podcast about this before, but and I've had this conversation with my wife and a couple of my friends many times. There is nothing as a human being that I can do to another human being to, bring them to this idea of God and Jesus. I mean, I can speak to you. I can show you love. I can tell you about the Bible and things like that. But and of course, this may be a little reformed thinking, but, in my concept, only God, the way I believe, only God can do those things. So we're to live, whatever, like Jesus. But at the end of the day, if I just keep doing what I'm basically called to do, and I believe that God is who he says he is, and he has he says, okay, then Jack is going to be one of mine, no matter, But I mean, I just think at the end of the day, people are trying so hard to change people, which they have to realize that they can't change people. And that's what I want them to hear. No matter what I say to you today, Jack, or what Justin may say to you this week, or what another Christian may say to you this week, you're sitting there saying, I may be open to the possibility, but your argument probably won't change me as of right now, because it's going to be real hard for you to do that.
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the biggest points is, faith is kind of a difficult thing to have. I mean, I mean, by definition, it's not, by definition, it's not really something that has evidence to support it. It's something that you believe. There's a reason Kierkegaard called it a leap to faith.
Yeah, exactly.
Not miscommonly quoted as a leap of faith. It's a leap to faith. But, I mean, you kind of have to make that jump to faith.
Right.
And I think that's kind of the biggest point that I want people to see is that if somebody is asking for evidence and you're trying to get them to have faith, then you're operating on two different wavelengths. I mean,
yeah, that's
just kind of by necessity.
Yeah, I would like to throw out that, I've read books like Lee Strobel's Case for Christ. I've read, I believe I have it somewhere sitting over here too, Josh McDowell's Evidence, for Christ and things like that. And I don't know, Justin, if I was asking you this week. I may have. But
yeah, you mentioned this earlier.
Yeah, just the fact of them having like this evidence. Okay, here's the evidence that we're going to prove that Christ is real, and it may be very good evidence, but if you come from your worldview, your perspective,
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, would your first response to this be, okay, how can I make this evidence, which is it's a valid statement, it's a true argument. I can't disprove what they're saying, but you're going to come from, okay, well, how do I make this evidence fit into my worldview? Do you feel that's how, like, a lot of people will face? Let's just say I'm looking at the evidence from rose-colored glasses of an atheist, where a Christian is looking at it through violet-colored glasses of a Christian. Is having that evidence, this what is it, evidential apologetics? Does that really work for people on the other side? I mean, is that something that's really going to be a big breakthrough for you to say?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, if you could have a solid line of evidence or solid logical reasoning, I think that absolutely convinced me. I mean, but the issue I see is a lot of apologetics, and C.S. Lewis in particular and Thomas Aquinas, they make really, really good and sound logical arguments.
Right.
But they start with the premise that there is a God.
Yeah.
So, like, once you do start believing, then they make really cool arguments.
Right.
But the issue is that you still need to prove that there is a God for those arguments to work. And I think that's where a lot of the apologists kind of skip over.
Right.
And I think that little information would be the information, or that piece would be the convincing piece for most people or most atheists. I think that's really where the focus should be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and that's how I kind of see it. The first wall to get over when I'm building a relationship with somebody who doesn't believe in a God. Like, there is no God. There is no faith. In his sense, his belief is that there is no faith for me in this thing that I can't see.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I'm like, in reality, this is my thing. I don't care what anybody says, and I may be branded a heretic here, but there is nothing that any one human being can do themselves that can prove God's existence.
I wholeheartedly agree.
That's my thing. It's like,
to prove 100% without a doubt that God exists, I don't think it can be done.
And that's the whole basis of that word faith. And like you said, it takes a leap of faith. You have to have faith.
Yeah.
So the only thing that I can do is say, okay, well, I just got to keep loving people, and I got to keep just pray that the God that I can't prove with 100% of a doubt does something. And this is the part, I think this is the part for me where Christians just go right out the window, where they think they can prove God, where they have to understand God proves himself to the people. It's his actions that changes a person. Sure. And we're talking to you right now who you don't believe like we do. So I know in my life, I had the supernatural experience. I had the thing that changed me. Yeah, and that's why I asked earlier, because I'll reference Josh McDowell. I saw Josh McDowell one time give this talk, And he was, and if you know anything about Josh McDowell, he was on the other side of the fence. He was the guy actually, and this is funny, I'm going out to prove that God doesn't exist. I mean, that was his whole purpose in life. And every argument he tried to debunk, so to speak, eventually ended up, he couldn't do it. He kept coming up with the answers he didn't want. But at the end of the day, he said this. He goes, after I said, wow, this Jesus is real. He said, but I still didn't accept him. I still didn't believe in this God. I didn't believe in these things. It was something other. Even though the evidence was in front of me, I didn't believe it. Not that I didn't believe that he was real and I had all this evidence. I would not just give my life. I wouldn't have this faith in this God. You know, so because there was all these other things that were tying up him until he had that one experience that God himself intervened. And of course, any person who doesn't believe in God is going to sit here and say, that dude talking right now is an idiot. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And that's fine. I can take that because I may agree to a point. But, you know, and that's why I asked the question earlier, you know, because I've heard the question posed to some people, is there a God, you know, if you come to find out, if I give you all the evidence right now, Jack, could you worship that God?
I think so. I mean, It's tough to say for certain. I mean, as most things are, but I'd like to think I'm open-minded enough. I'd like to think I'd be willing to change enough. At least I certainly hope I would be able to.
Right.
If that was the case, yeah.
Well, there's hope for you yet, man.
We'll get you eventually.
Oh, you say that.
Oh, my gosh. And, you know, I think at the end of the day for me is I just love having good conversations, man. I love being around people. Jack, dude, you're awesome, whether you believe it or not. But this has been, I just think this has been awesome. But I don't want to, we're not going to end yet because, you know, we're the guys who just take up way too much time.
Oh, yeah.
I've asked you a few questions.
Okay.
Do you have any questions for us?
That depends. How hard of questions do you want me to give you?
Go for it.
You can give me any question. I can say I don't know.
No, that's fair. Justin might have an easier answer to this, but the concept of hell has always bothered me.
Yeah.
I think that there is if there is a God, I can't really justify the concept of hell. So I guess my question to you would be, do you think that there is a hell?
Well, I do think there is a hell, and I mean I lay that out there. In order for me to believe what I believe, okay, I have to know that there is a hell, and if I don't believe there is a hell, then I would have a large leap. Let's just use that word again to reconcile what I see in Scripture and what I see and reconcile what I believe. And the reason I say that is because that's what I read from Scripture. Now, if you want to elaborate on that question when it comes to the concept of hell, we can. But to believe in it or to know that it's there, yes, I say yes.
Okay. I'm out of curiosity, what is your opinion on that, Justin?
I concur with Keith.
Okay.
Pretty much, yeah. I believe that there is a literal existence of hell. All throughout, you know, Old Testament scriptures, you know, you have the concept of Sheol or land of the dead, and you know, and Jesus, you know, constantly mentions Gehenna, which, you know, refers to a trash heap, but he was using as an illustration and all that stuff for what that place is.
Right.
And so, you know, I think from what Scripture tells us, yes, there is. Now the details of that can get a little more fuzzy.
Yeah, I'll go a step further, and my concept of hell is not Sheol or Gehenna in those senses. I believe he refers there is a reference to hell through those, but when I speak on the reference of hell, the way I use hell is in the book of Revelation when he says the lake of fire that will be closed up and there will be no existence of God. That is the hell that I speak of, because a lot of people, they blur those lines of what hell is. Hell can't be Sheol, because Sheol, there's going to be this rise up from there, the land of the dead. This is not the place of quote unquote eternal punishment, the way, you know, most Christians use the word hell, but it's that last place that John speaks about in his revelation that he had from Christ. So that's when I say hell, I'm literally talking about the lake of fire at the end that the devil and his legion will be cast into. So yes, I understand where you're coming from. You have a hard time with the concept of hell, but that is it.
No, that's right. And I think that's something that a lot of Christians do, is have those ideas of what hell is. That it's and a lot of the Christians I've talked to and asked about this, their concept of hell isn't really any sort of eternal punishment.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of people reach the conclusion that that's...
Well, let me clarify when I talk about eternal punishment.
Yeah.
Because I had the faith that I have, the eternal punishment. These are the two things that, and I don't know what it will be like by no means, but this is what I know. I hate, even though darkness is fine. I don't, I'm sensitive to light and things like that. But the type of darkness that we're speaking about here is the type of darkness that drives people insane, or would drive anything insane. And for me as a Christian, knowing or having my faith in God and seeing what I can only explain as Him doing in my life, because there's been some crazy things, and I'm not talking like crazy supernatural charismatic type of things. I'm just talking about the things that I can't explain where He's brought me to. Having an existence that's totally closed off from Him and the light of everything, that would be more than enough punishment. Okay. That's my concept of eternal. I'm not talking about you're burning in hell and the devil's poking you with a poker, because all that's crap. There may be an intense heat. I don't know. I don't know if there's. I mean, I'm thinking lake of fire, hot. But that's just my imagination going out there of what I read. Yeah. But and I know maybe where you're going with this. How can God, this all loving God, cast people into hell?
Well, that kind of sounds like a gotcha question, but really I'm just curious about what people's conceptions are of hell, because it really kind of tells me a lot about how you view Christianity as a whole. Because I mean, it's an important part, and it's an important question.
Exactly. No, it is.
And so I like asking people because I get a lot of different answers, and every time it really helps me understand where they're coming from, what their definition and what their viewpoint and structure of Christianity is and looks like.
Yeah, it's funny. The concept of hell has always been a hard one, anyways. Yeah, I'll tell you how hard it is for me, the concept of hell, and not that I don't believe, not that it's not there. I'm not following Rob Bell's, even though he doesn't come out and say it, but I'm not following that concept that there basically is no hell.
Right.
But I've been trying to read Francis Chan's book, Erasing Hell, and it's one of the hardest things to do. I've read all his books. I've read many books. But this is the one book that I have to keep stopping and going back, because I'm like, do I really want to know? Do I really want to go through this book and God really open to me what? And this is because I'm a Christian and I'm hokey, mystical faith, whatever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, if God's going to speak to me, do I really want to know the answer to this? Because it's going to set me in a direction that's going to it's going to put me in a place where I'm going to have to say something to somebody that they're not going to like it, and they're going to hate me for it, because what I believe maybe at the end of the day, I believe is true, but man, they're not going to like this, because that's when, dealing with the concept of hell, dealing with, the good and bad in the world and evil and all those things, those questions I'll ask, right. Those questions will be asked and I'll answer to where I think, but it's really hard to deal with. So I try to be very clear. And when I say things, I try to be scriptural as I can without adding my own traditional thoughts and preconceived notions into it.
Okay. Yeah. Out of curiosity, would you be, from what you said, I think I already know the answer to this question, but would you be open-minded to the changing your opinion of what hell looks like, or if it's there or whatnot? The
only thing I would never give up and change is that it doesn't exist. Okay. But what it looks like and how it works and things like that, I don't know. It's like, and I'll flip it. It's like the concept of heaven too. Yeah. I mean, heaven and hell both. I don't know what they look like. Yeah. The only thing I can hold to is what Scripture says about who is where and what, this, that, and the other. I mean, that's the only thing that I can probably hold to. How people get there, I believe is through Christ. But at the end of the day, that's the only thing I can hold to, because if I'm going to stand in my faith and believe, those are the things. But how it looks, how it works, my mind's open to. Because, hey.
Yeah, and that's where I'm at, too, where I was like, kind of the details a little more fuzzy, and I'm kind of have more, because I think there are issues that I think are, first issues, in terms of Christianity, things that, are kind of essentials, and hell kind of borderlines on that essential, or not. So I hold that it does exist, but kind of the details of it are a little more shaky. Well,
here, and we go back to the whole Sorry, y'all had a little digitizing breakup there. So I hope everything came through pretty clear. But I go back to the point that at the end of the day, nobody in this humanity that we call Earth, and nowhere outside of Earth, do we have a definite positive answer that we, like you said, can prove with 100% things? Because at the end of the day, we may all be wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, there may be this great alien race above us watching us and puppeteering us and seeing how they could play things out. I mean, I know that's extreme, but
Scientologists might be right.
Maybe, which I don't believe because I've read Ron L. Hubbard.
Oh yeah, no. I was actually I was in Amsterdam and I went to their headquarters in Amsterdam, and they eventually kicked me out. Like after I started asking too many questions, just more Scientologists started popping up around. Like one came down the stairs, one came out of the back room, and all of a sudden I was outnumbered and I just left.
Well, no, and that's just it. So, anyways, I hope we answered that question for you.
Yeah, no, and I mean I really didn't mean it to be like a gotcha question. It really helps me understand what kind of your structure or concept of Christianity is. And I just really like asking you because it's kind of an interesting question.
No, I like answering it. It is an interesting question. So you got anything else?
Yeah.
Man, not off the top of my head. That's one of my bigger questions. If you guys talk about, like the problem of evil or the problem of the unborn later or something like that, not now. Granted, not now. We're like what, an hour 15 into this already? Like.
Yeah, we're getting out there. Well, I mean, I'm like me and Justin always say, there's not enough time in one podcast to grapple all the questions, and
right.
And we could probably give you the answers that we sit on, especially like you talk about the problem of evil. Oh my gosh, now I can go on.
Oh, that's like a series of podcasts in and of itself.
Yeah, we would have to start a new podcast altogether just to handle. We're going to call it the Problem of Evil podcast. Oh, that what was so funny because I don't know if it's the internet on your side.
That.
Okay, let's back up and everything you just said, re-say it because none of that came through.
Ask me if I have any questions.
Do you have any questions?
I mean, nothing for right now, but if it's some later time you want to talk about like the problem of evil, that'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, I think that would be. I think I'd like to get a panel of people on and just kind of keep it light and go around about it. Man, we guys, I enjoyed this. This was excellent. I love talking to somebody who absolutely doesn't believe the same way I do, because I think what it does, it goes to show that we can sit and have these conversations. I mean, there's other people doing it right now. There's other people doing what we're trying to do now. Maybe in a different venue, a different strategy. They may have more money than we have. They may have more notoriety than we have.
That's kind of a given. Of course, they have more money than we have, Keith.
If I give you $5, can I be one of your sponsors?
Absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely.
I will not turn that down.
But yeah, we it's the thing. And so as we've been talking to each other, I want to talk to our audience and say, hey, being a Christian is maybe not the easiest thing in the world, but I know being in any other faith type system is not easy as well, because you're always having to maybe defend what you believe or question what you believe to make sure what you believe is real and true. But it doesn't change the fact that we can't all sit together and have these conversations, because at the end of the day, I think the best thing we can do is have questions and ask questions and find an answer to it. And if we don't find an answer to it, it doesn't mean that we need to leave and get away from what we believe. Right. Jack has been gracious enough to sit with us. I mean,
anytime, man. Really, anytime. And this kind of covers the preliminary stuff, but if you guys ever want to chat philosophy, hit me up. I really like philosophy.
Yeah, I have to brush up on my philosophy.
I'd be good with that.
Let's talk about some... I'd be curious to contrast the moral philosophy that the structure of Christianity provides with something else.
I could definitely do that.
I'm just saying.
Well, I'm down. I'm always down to talk structure of Christianity, because I'm a whole different ballgame when it comes to that. I've been through... Oh, anyways.
That was last episode.
Yeah, I've been up and down it. Wow, Justin, man, again, you've kind of just sat idle.
Well, fine. Let me talk now.
You can talk. I feel like Justin's always hesitant to just kind of pop in there.
No, I mean, I'm good. I'm just sitting back listening to both of you, kind of learning. It's pipe in every once in a while.
Yeah.
But, and it's for me, it's a different situation because I know both of you.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
I know Keith so well, and I know Jack over the past few years, and so a lot of this is between you guys, kind of exploring a lot of different things like that. Which I mean, I've learned a lot even in this, but some of the things I've kind of, I kind of know. So I'm just kind of listening, seeing how this goes. I'll chime in every once in a while.
That's great. I had to pick on Justin,
Oh, always.
Because I do consider Justin like son-ish to me.
Yeah. Let's face it.
So Jack, go ahead.
Just out of curiosity, would you think that you're predestined to pick on Justin?
So that's why I don't hate him.
Yeah, I was going to say that's kind of outside the election of this relationship. So, like you said, you're a big movie buff, right?
I like a lot of movies. I like from A to Z grade movies.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I love them. I love the bad movies, really. But,
oh yeah.
So you mentioned Birdman with Michael Keaton.
The reason I mentioned Birdman was because I saw it 2 days ago and it was really good.
I was going to say, would you recommend Birdman?
I would highly recommend Birdman, and I'd also urge people to pay attention to the cinematography. Specifically, I think I only caught one cut in the movie.
Wow.
There's only one single cut in the movie. It's not like one straight shot. They just do nice editing tricks to make it appear to be one single shot. But I'd highly suggest just watching it for the cinematography and just looking at how they keep everything nice and claustrophobic. It's just a really good movie.
That's good because I've actually been meaning to watch it. I had a couple of good reviews on it, so it's one movie I think I'm going to pick up and watch.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you mentioned
my podcast in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I also want to say that you did mention the movie Birdemic.
Yeah.
Just a great movie, anyways. I'm going to say this. We've had a lot of technical issues on the show today, people. So if you did not hear something they said, I apologize. I don't know why we've had breakup issues today, but we just had a few digitized out. Again, I want to say, Jack, thanks so much for joining us on the show this week. I think it's been insightful. I hope that the things that you've talked about will be intriguing to Christians to figure out how to change how they approach people of not like faith. We can just hey, famous quote, can't we all get along?
Why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends?
Exactly. I just want to encourage not just Christians but people on both sides of all faiths. Just love people, man. That's all we want to do. We just want to love people. Yeah. Justin, any closing final thoughts?
No, just thank you, Jack, for coming on. Really appreciate it. You've been a good friend and even better podcaster.
Hey, I'm going to tell you, we
by that he means I was a friend.
Please repeat that because I'm a friend.
I said, and by that he means I was a terrible friend.
See, it may have been. Hey, did you God just edited you? He took out the whole terrible part and just said, "I'm a friend."
Thanks, Jesus.
Curse you, Jesus! Curse you!
You're the real friend here.
We may never have another atheist on the show again. Now.
Well, you didn't really have one on this one because he keeps editing me out.
I know, right? Wow. With all that said, I think it's just time to go ahead and close up shop. I'm Keith.
And I'm Justin.
I'm Jack.
And we want to remind you that people are not projects. They're people just like you and me. So love them like you love yourself. And we'll see you next week.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Thank you for listening to the Forgetting Walls podcast. If you're subscribing to us on iTunes, leave us a rating to help us spread the word about this podcast. Remember, the only way this works is if you share your story. So be sure to visit the website and leave us a comment at forgettingwalls.com, or find us on Twitter at forgettingwalls and facebook.com/forgettingwalls.
Peace!